Hey, this is Chris Martin with Nitrum Photography. Today at Harold's on 41st Street in Sioux Falls. Today I'm doing another gear review, and today I'm going to be talking about a speedlight, particularly the SB700. Now, speedlight is a fancy word for flash. So if I say speedlight, it just means flash. Why do you need an SB700? Why do you need a flash in general? Typically, if I'm shooting a pop-up flash on a camera, this is going to take care of a lot of the needs that I have. Particularly if I'm outdoors with a strong backlight, I'm shooting into sunlight. However, when I'm indoors, flashes have gotten a lot better on cameras. They know how much flash to give in order to make the subject as flattering as it can be. It's just not as flattering enough usually for my tastes. And so typically when I'm firing all these photons at someone, it's going to be very harsh. And so I like to push this off. And a lot of people are like, well, every time I click, if it's too dark, the camera says, hey, I need flash, and so it's going to pop it up. Instead of doing that, on auto, I'm going to switch it to P for program. Pretty much the same exact thing, is just not using your flash. Now, if I'm shooting indoors and I shoot in program mode, and the camera says it's still too dark, it's going to slow down the shutter speed, and I'm going to get really blurry photos. And people are like, oh, that's why. And so when I'm shooting indoors, if I have to use a flash, I usually go for this guy. The nice thing is that I don't get to fire the flash directly at my subject. Not very flattering. Typically, I can diffuse the light a little bit more for my subject, especially if it's for like a group photo, so I can spread out the flash a little bit more. And I also have a bounce card to where if I move this flash up, I can shoot it up and I can shoot it a little bit towards the subjects. And so I don't use that a whole lot particularly. What I like to do, some of the accessories that come with this, is a diffuser dome. If I put this diffuser dome on top of the SB700, not only am I able to just disperse the light against the ceiling, it comes back down, gives me nice, soft lighting, very flattering to my subject. I'm also able to have a little flash come out the front here, and it puts a little catch light in your subject's eyes. Not as harsh, very pleasant to view, and it gives you a lot of options. The other nice thing that the Nikon flash gives you is two separate colored gels. Typically a tungsten flavored gel and a fluorescent flavored gel. If you ever get those types of pictures, or you take your camera, you take a picture, and the light is just, oh, it's very yellowish, or it's very greenish, or very bluish. That's the temperature of light. And so if I'm shooting indoors, right now we've got fluorescent lights up here. And so if I'm shooting, typically, I can get a little greenish tint to my pictures. So what I do is I put on my fluorescent flavored gel here. I also use my my diffuser dome. You don't have to. It's one of the biggest reasons why I loved this flash is that usually when I match the light, the color of the light with these gels, I've always had spot on performance, very natural flesh tones, and it just worked very, very well. And so if I go to shoot, boom, take a look, it works. Now there's two modes to this, and I'll probably do a screenshot off to the side up here or here. When I'm shooting, I have a TTL format, and that's called through the lens. Both Nikon and Canon have what's called either an ITTL if you're Nikon or an ETTL if you're Canon. I don't know what the E stands for on the Canon, but I know what the I think it's intelligent, TTL, through the lens. And that tells you that the camera knows how much light this needs to push out. And so as I'm focusing, the camera meters, it takes a whole evaluation of the scene and says, this is how much light you need to put out in order to have a decent picture. And so it just understands that. If I was to show you one of my old SB30 flashes, there's a lot of little buttons, dials, and switches that you kind of have to know what you're doing in order to work this. And so it kind of confuses people. With this, it's very handy because if I need more light than what the camera's giving, I can hit the select button and I jog the dial up to go up, or jog it to the left to go down. And either it gives me more flash output or it gives me less flash output. And that's why I really liked this flash. Now, I think that this is a good mid-range lens, or not lens, mid-range flash for Nikon. It's in around that 350 mark, I believe. Could be more, could be less. I haven't checked the prices here at the store. The nice deal is that it's going to give you that bounce flash that you're going to want. If you have high ceilings that it's not giving you the amount of exposure that you want, the nice thing is it rotates to either side. So if I want to bounce this at the wall, which I've done a lot of times if I'm at a wedding reception, you've got high ceilings, I try to get in a corner, I put this on the camera and I'm firing this in the corner, it diffuses the light, bounces back at my subject, very flattering, very nice dispersion of light equally. So with that, very handy to have. The manual mode is even nicer to have. If you're a little more experienced with your DSLR camera, you can choose and pick what type of special light settings that you want through this, and it gives you some more dramatic effects on some. And I can put some examples of what I've done with my speed lights at different samples. So I'll put that right here. And if I'm shooting in darkness, the last thing I wanted to mention is that the camera's got an infrared sensor, and it can shoot a little, it shoots a little, you kind of see a lot of little red laser beams on your subjects, and it helps you focus your camera that much better. And so I could be at a wedding reception, almost pure darkness, and when I slap this on the camera, I'm going to get a great exposure, and it's in focus every time I'm shooting. And so with that, I thank you for watching the gear review. If you don't have $500 to spend on a flash, and you can afford a little bit more than $150 to spend on a flash, the Nikon SB700 is a perfect companion for any DSLR, anywhere from the D3100, even back to the D40, the D3000, D3200, D5000, 51, 52, 7, 7100. It all just works. And so it's called the Creative Lighting System from Nikon. And it sounds like I'm a pitch man now for Nikon, but I kind of am, because it just works. And so give it a shot, come down to the store, ask some questions, bring in your camera, try it out. If you like the results, it'd be something that was worth an investment. I know for shooting my own children and shooting weddings and receptions and whatnot, it's been a godsend for me. It's a workhorse, and I have no problem going with another one. Next time we review, I'm going to take a look at a couple of third-party flashes, both from different vendors, and kind of give them a comparison versus the Nikon Speedlight. So thanks for watching. You can check me out at reviews.nitrumphotography.com, or you can check out my wedding photography at nitrumphotography.com.